Yo, welcome back everybody. I want to apologize for being away for a couple weeks. I've gone through a bit of a personal transformation. It's good to be back in front of y'all, and today I want to highlight a couple things about where we are, my personal plan with the future, basically why I'm in internet computer for the long run, and just give an update on the disconnections in the market that are taking place right now. And where I want to start this video off is in regards to this interview that I had a week ago with a big tech Kubernetes principal business, which I was under the impression I was definitely one of the better candidates. And we discussed the limitations, the future of the internet. Kubernetes is basically the containerization of apps, websites, files, things like that. And it's that same principle on internet computer. It's just called a canister. So it was something that I knew how to explain very clearly to the young lady that was doing the interviews. And I believe I was very nearly selected for this position with no degree whatsoever, no experience in the industry. Just a broad understanding of where I think the future is going. And that's the canisterization of assets and digital services, products, everything that's on the web. And we know the reasons why this is going to take place. And in this conversation with this hiring manager, I must have stepped on her toes with some of the things that I was saying, because where we led to in this conversation, a very candid interview, led to some verbiage coming out of my mouth that was pretty profound, like the 750 million attempts to hack into Amazon Web Services every day, to the hack of Google with the two-factor authentication being cracked, to potentially folks being skeptical about storing their digital assets on Amazon Web Services. And about a halfway into this interview, it occurred to me that all that company was doing was adding complexity to a broken system. And by the end of it, it hyper identified the use case and functionality behind internet computer protocol. They had cybersecurity providers outside of house, and they didn't seem to really understand the magnitude of having AI agents combined with language models, small language models, and the future that that's going to allow to come into existence. In addition to this interview, I've been going back and forth with this friend of mine that we used to work with at the same company, and he's now at probably one of the most notorious IT companies in the world, I would say. One that you've definitely heard of. And we go to the gym like this morning sometimes, and I just ask him how everything's going, point blank. And he gets calls from banks, governments, institutions, businesses, and countries. It's gotten so messy that days can go by before the problem has even been discovered in big tech cloud. And this is a real issue. One of the calls that came in was from a location that you wouldn't even believe is possible to have this little protection. A building that you've certainly heard of has a single layer of cybersecurity, and it can go down for days at the time before any issue has been detected. So that's just outrageous to think about, to try to process that. It's difficult to make sense of that. And we'll talk about AI and agents and the future of his job. And he basically said that it's too difficult to summarize a diagnostic that took 8 hours and just relay it to somebody clear and concisely. He said that's like the hardest thing that he's trying to do, is summarize the troubleshooting that's already taken place. And it occurred to me something that Dom had said many times about reducing the complexity of the infrastructure, the architecture. And I was asking, like, why don't you guys have agents that monitor these systems 24/7 to help determine when they've gone down, so that way it's not days at the time before anybody realizes there's an issue? And he said, Michael, the complexity is insane, and you're better off following the problem all the way through to the end, as opposed to trying to describe the issue, the steps you've taken, what you think will fix it, who's involved, and the time frame, the sense of urgency. It's like a book report basically that's needed, and just to relay the messages, it's too difficult. So that confirms in my mind that the complexity of this system, combined with the ease of tampering, the low barrier of entry, the extreme, like the upside for attackers and things like that, it's just too much. And he has slowly but surely began to agree with me. So from somebody on the inside whose future basically somewhat relies on cybersecurity remaining an important part of IT, I was joking along with him that eventually you'll enjoy that position until the end of cybersecurity. Enjoy that until the end of complex web architecture. Enjoy that position until an AI agent can diagnose, debrief, and troubleshoot and pick up where somebody else left off, 365, never late to work. Enjoy your position up until that day with one of the most famous IT companies in the world. And he used to really laugh at that, and I had really laughed at it too. But after the last couple weeks of news, and you have Google mentioning that cybersecurity might need to become a national security threat, with only one clear-cut existing solution to address the full magnitude of that problem in an end-to-end manner, you've got to be crazy to overlook Internet Computer Protocol. And I say that respectfully. Lastly, I just want to remind everybody of my investment thesis that even if only 5% of the potential is realized in Internet Computer, it seems to me that many of us will be able to live life off of the voting rewards. And even if you don't have thousands or even hundreds of ICP, I believe there will be ordinary people paying their rent, buying groceries, having families, supporting themselves, being able to travel. That has been my goal throughout this entire process, and the recent events have only drawn me closer to that goal. And I think if you're willing to hang on, that future is almost inevitable. Thank you guys for watching the video. God bless you, and I'll see you next time.